Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Sheets. Let me just change um, the chat permissions here real quick, and then we'll get started. Okay. Yeah, so unfortunately, just again, due to various trolls, I have to make this so that you have to be a YouTube subscriber to chat, which is a little unfortunate because I would encourage people to come and chat, but I have to keep it somewhere. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Hey, what's up, Jack? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to get out of my comfort zone here. And the reason why we're going to get out of my comfort zone is normally what I do, as for those of you know, I'm very, very projection based. I use Sims, I do all that stuff. But when I had Jack on, when I interviewed him, I had my first screen was the RotoWire projection board. And he says, you know what? Very few people even look at that. He didn't exactly say it that way, but reminded me that maybe, just maybe, soccer is not 100% just, firing up projections and loading them in, okay? So we're going to get out of my comfort zone, and we're going to actually build plays using hashtag research for the first, half hour of this. Now, here's the things that I don't have at my disposal today, which I normally would for every other sport. Number one is I do not have, as some people would say, those fancy schmancy sims, okay? Because there are just no sims available for soccer, okay? The other thing I don't have yet are my projection sets. Now, I will put them together for lineup builds, but for the first half an hour, I'm going to ignore them. The other thing that I'm not going to have is I'm not going to have ownership projections because there aren't really any good ones out there. And I'm not particularly well-versed at coming up with them yet. So what we're going to do is literally build lineups and build players using the research tools available to me. Now, the other thing that I specifically did not do in preparation for this was look at any other content, if there was any, with respect to videos and things like that. So what we're going to do is we are going to build a player pool with using my interpretation of how to use, for example, the RotoWire cheat sheets. Okay. Now we had Jack on here and talked a little bit about this, but I'm going to try to fumble around with this. And it'll also give, if anybody's here that hasn't been here before, you'll see like what your competition is. If there's actually good soccer DFS players out there, you're going to see, wow, Sheets put some, some decent money in these things. Pretty sharp guy, wins at other DFS sports. But this is the terrible play that we're up against, And this is kind of what I'm, fumbling with throughout, during this video. Then after about maybe a half hour or so, we're going to pull up some lineup builders, and here's what I'm going to have at my disposal. I have my TrueDFS lineup builder, I have the RotoGrinders one, I have the RotoWire one, I have SaberSim, I have Fantasy Cruncher, but none of them are really sim-based, so they're not going to come up with too much difference. First thing I do want to note, as I do with every slate, is this one difference in this slate from a lot of others. Normally in soccer, you have everybody playing at the same time, and you don't have to worry about late swap or anything like that. Where this particular slate, and I think the other day as well, you had, I don't say an island game because there is overlap, but you have one game that locks after the others. Now, fortunately, we're not going to have lineup issues with that one, sort of. We're going to have the lineups for those before this slate locks, but we're not going to have too much time. Okay, we're going to have a 2:15 to 2:30 window to get our act together, if in fact something comes out which is unusual. Let's put it that way. The other thing that I have kind of off to the side is I have my various Discord channel, which will give me information. So like I'm seeing stuff like Like Holland is out, Diaz is out, Doku is out. Who else? Jensen is out, and Kunko is starting. However you pronounce that. Sorry. Now what I'm hoping, I don't want to say whatever, is that when I refresh the RotoWire pages, it's gonna, yeah, oh, awesome. So here it is. This is value added piece number one. When I refresh the RotoWire page, all the confirmed lineups replaced the projected lineups instantly. So all of a sudden, okay, so shout out right away, just awesome job by RotoWire. You already earned your money. Let's put it that way. So what do we do? Well, first thing I want to, in full disclosure, I want to tell everybody what I'm playing. All right, as I always do. I'm playing way too much money for given my skill level, but I don't care. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to try to win a seat to the stupid king of the pitch thing for openers, but we're going to play the two-footed tackle. We're going to play 30 in the counterattack, and we're going to play all kinds of various king of the pitch qualifiers. And when we get into the lineup building process, we're going to talk about maybe how one set of lineups might be different for the counterattack as opposed to the two-footed tackle, as opposed to this 10-man qualifier to the 333, and what it is. Yeah, exactly, All-Star. Crazy, right? So we're going to have to actually figure this out. So first thing I want to do, since there are 3 games, let's take a look at the games. So the first thing I'm looking at is odds report. So odds report here, you have, it looks really, really straightforward, right? You have the highest win odds are Manchester City. Slightly behind that is Chelsea. Then a little bit behind that is Brentford. Okay. And then a big drop to, obviously the other teams, the underdogs. The other thing I look at, again, is we're going to look at the implied goals. And we have Manchester City is the top at 1.8, Chelsea 1.7, Brentford 1.5. So pretty much the same difference between Manchester City and Chelsea as it is between Chelsea and Brentford. And then obviously a big drop to the underdogs. Well, I shouldn't say obviously, because I presume if it's a close game, then this could be a little bit tighter. Okay. So I would say that probably a good idea to figure out which guys we want to play from Manchester City, Chelsea, and Brentford. Seems to be the logical thing to do. And again, we're not looking at projections yet. We're not going to do any of that. We're gonna figure this shit out, okay, without a projection. So the way I'm going to be looking at soccer for this video is this. There are 2 ways to get points for the players. Or we'll get to the goalies later. You could either get goals, well, you can put assists in there also, but let's say goals and then like other stuff. Okay? Other stuff being tackles and crosses and set pieces and things like that, which we talked about when we talked with Jack about floor points. So what we're looking for are players that are either going to score goals, get floor points, or both. Now, again, we're like explain this like I'm 5, right? And with any luck, there's one thing I forgot to change. See this? Has all these FanDuel salaries. Watch this. Check this out. Found this yesterday. I didn't even realize I could do this. All right. So now we at least have DraftKings salaries. So what I'm looking for, let's start with the goals. Now, again, this is me being dumb. This is being whatever. So I'm looking at the guys that are most likely to score goals. Seems to make sense, right? Now, it seems as though the top guy is out. Then the next guy is Julian Alvarez. So it seems like he'd be a good play, 8,800. But I'll tell you the next thing that I notice. Okay, we're only looking for the guys in green, right? Only the guys in green are confirmed. Guys in yellow are expected, but guys in green or guys in yellow. I mean, what I see is that you have this guy on Brentford, Wissa, who is almost as likely to score a goal as anybody on the slate. Like if you have these guys kind of at the top here, you have Alvarez, Jackson, Wissa, and then down to Mopai. Forgive my pronunciation. But I have Chelsea, who's a favorite, Brentford, who's a favorite, And these guys are two of the highest goal scorers on the board. And one of them is 5,900. And another one is 7,200. And that looks pretty inexpensive, okay, for soccer. So immediately, I'm considering putting these guys in my short list because look, and what we're doing, by the way, in my short list, we're going to build like a pool of dudes that we're going to put in. And then at the end of this, we're going to put them into our roto grinders or whatever optimizer we choose to use. We'll X everybody else out, okay? Or maybe we'll do one screen where the projections look really good. Sorry, All-Star, I have to have a little bit of leeway. So the first guy I'm looking at here is Wissa, pretty cheap. He's midfield on DraftKings. And then you have Nicholas Jackson at 7,200. These are the guys with the highest goal scoring odds, except for Alvarez. And these guys are really cheap. So 1, 2, 3, Alvarez, Jackson, Wissa. So just for fun, okay, we're just going to put these guys in for now. So let's put Wissa here at forward. We'll put in where was the guy from Chelsea? Jackson at forward as well. Put those two guys in. Where'd my goal scoring odds go? Hold on. Oh, over here. So Wissa. Now the other one I notice here is that at plus 200, which, listen, I don't know how much worse that is than plus 150. Actually, I do know how much worse it is. It's like 50 cents, right? But you have Keane Lewis Potter, also from a favorite, who's only 5,600. And he is one of like the top goal scoring odds on the slate. So why don't we include him in our player pool as well? So Keane Lewis Potter, we'll put him. Now, again, there's all kinds of stuff. Well, Sheets, you don't know about this. You don't know about that. You don't know about whatever. I know what I don't know about. But I know what I do know about. And I do know that those are the odds. And he looks cheap enough, right? So as far as like finding value before we're even starting with anything else, like these three guys look like a good place to start when you're just, well, let's get rid of this one. When we're just using the goal odds. Now, obviously, Alvarez at the top of the heap, we got to consider him. So let's, before we forget, and we're not going to forget because we're going to talk about other ways this guy can get there in a second, but let's put Alvarez in. Is he a midfielder as well? I know he's something, so we'll get him in somewhere. Alvarez, he's a forward, so we'll put him over here. All right. The next thing I want to look at after the goal odds are the other ways you get points, and that would be the floor points. Now, there's a couple of ways that I could do this. I could try to go into this free kick tracker tool, and what that does, and I just got a little confused. You know, this is corners and free kicks, I think, or is that free kicks and crosses or something like that? So what we could do is let's first just sort this by total. We sort this by total, and this will give us an idea at least of who does a lot of these things, right? Because these are kind of good floor points things. So here's where Alvarez showing up as kind of number one, and you'll see in his last game he didn't even play, right? And we're going to figure out, you know, what the average per 90 minutes is using the different tool. But you see Alvarez, very, very strong as far as his floor points go. And then you see Eze, but he's from an underdog. Now, we'll get to possible underdogs in a little bit. Everton underdog, McNeil underdog, Elise underdog. Then you get to this Pablo Sarabia, and we're gonna see him in a little bit. He's the most likely. He's on the team that's most likely favored, most likely winner of the underdogs. Let's put it that way. So we'll put him in. We'll think about this. Then you'll have Murdick and Gallagher. Now this is just judging it based on free kicks, and you have to kind of sift through this. But what I want to do is go down to this last tool they have here, which is where is this? There's a floor points thing. Yeah, player stats per 90 minutes right over here. And what I want to do is sort this by floor. Okay. So if I want to figure out where the good floor points are, and I want to adjust for guys that, whatever. Sometimes guys don't get the minutes, but if they are going to get the minutes, maybe they pick it up. Is I think this is a good place to start. So you have Michael Olise, has the best floor points per 90. He's in an underdog role, though, at 9,500. So I don't know if I want to do that. Maybe I should. I don't know. But this next guy who I alluded to before, Pablo Sarabia, he's not on a favorite, but he's the most likely to win underdog. And he's got the next best floor points per 90. Madueke is out and Eze is out. Or no, excuse me, Eze again is on the underdog. So I think that we could start with Sarabia as a guy with good floor points per 90. Seems to make sense to me, right? Now these other guys from Manchester City, they might show up a little bit later. They haven't even been ruled in or out yet, so we're not worried about that too much. But I know Grealish is probably going to be popular, I guess, because he's on Manchester City. And I guess his floor points are pretty good based, he's probably rated third, fourth, fifth of the guys who are actually playing. Unless Doku is in. We'll get to that, I guess, later as well. But I think that Sarabia is a pretty good. Was it Pablo Sarabia? Pablo Sarabia is pretty good. Now, again, we're not building one lineup. We're just kind of thinking of a pool. But, already, we're building kind of a lineup here. Now, we haven't even played any other Manchester City guy except for Alvarez yet. So we're going to have to see who actually starts. Now, again, we do have a projected starter, which is worth thinking about. So Diaz, Walker. Oh, someone said Diaz was out up there? We'll look at that in a minute. Grealish. Okay, so Foden was the guy I wanted to talk about. So I know Foden is probably going to project well, whatever it is. People always like to play Foden. But when I was looking at his numbers here, again, I'm dumb, right? He doesn't. Let's look at his goal odds are 210. I guess that's fine, but it's not like a lock or anything like that. And then as far as floor points go, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but when I go into player stats per 90 and I look at Foden, I guess it's okay. 10 floor points per 90. I guess that's all right. So, yeah, all right. So Foden is probably good if he plays. Alvarez is probably good if he plays. So that's another one to put in the player pool at least. Now, one thing, listen, I don't know much about soccer, but I do know this, that if the 10K guys are out, then it becomes a pretty easy slate to get in who you want. That's my, that doesn't take a lot to come up with that. Especially if you don't have to pay up for these defender spots. So it looks as though you can play pretty much whoever you want of these between at least Alvarez and Foden and, not worry too much about building your lineups because you have the 10K guy out and the 10.5K out. Now, this guy looks to be the highest price guy on the slate at 9,800 in Kunu. Let's take a look at him again using the tools here. And Kunu is, where is he? Let's look him on any goal scoring odds first. All right, so he is 185. So he is first, second, third, fourth, fifth highest goal scoring odds, but he's the most expensive guy on the slate. So he's got to make up for that, as far as I'm concerned, in other stuff. Otherwise, let's see. How do we spell this guy's name? Hold on. I don't know how to search. That's how bad I am. And Kunku. Let's see. I don't even have him on my player stats per 90. So what do I do? What do I do if I can't find him? Maybe he hasn't played. Well, let's go. Let's click through and see if we can't get information. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, it looks like he's only played. Okay, there it is. So he's only played one. Yeah, there it is. There it is, Soren. I came up with it just as you did. So he's injured for most of the season. He just got back. Okay, so now, unfortunately, yeah, we're going to have to do a little bit better than just getting the 2023 game log. You're going to have to go way back and see what else we have here. So 2000 and we could click previous season tab. There it is. Okay. So previous season, we have shots on goal. So, okay, so it looks like if I was going to get floor points from this, well, can I get floor points from the per 91? Let's see. Let's go back. Let's go back to the cheat sheet. Can't get previous season from there. Okay. So I'm just telling you, at this point, what I would do is I would either just like go rely on the projections, or I would go into Discord and like ask. You know, I would go into say RotoWire and say, hey, what's the deal with unless there was a write-up, right? Hey, what's the deal with Nkunku or whatever? Does he have a lot of floor points? You know, or how would you project him, or how whatever? So, but if I don't want to do that, I want to be really stubborn. I want to just see if we can't find the information right here. Let's go back. We got time? Yeah, 154, plenty of time. Let's go back into where is he? He scored in just 31 minutes of play. He's working on his fitness. Okay, so can we do previous season? Got a couple of tackles. I mean, it looks as though, what do I know? Depth chart set pieces? No. I'm trying, without having to ask, I'm trying to figure out if this guy's got a floor or if he's just a goal scorer. Yeah, so now I'm getting the Burkhardt saying he's a total stud. And then he said, but this is part of the process when you access the experts, right? When you go in there, he's saying he's live for only 55 minutes. So listen, for me, this is just the way I play. I'm going to just probably exit because, and this is probably why. So I can't find anything on him without like digging, but everybody that knows about soccer knows he's a stud. So I'm just kind of guessing that means he's got a little bit of hype and name value to him also. And it's possible that he gets a little overowned. That's going to be my dumb take. Okay. But maybe that's not so smart. Now let me look then at, so one thing we haven't done is look at defenders at all. So let's go back to the cheat sheets. And let's just see if any defenders we missed in any of these screens. So what I'll do, let's go back into DraftKings. And then let's just go for the anytime goal scorer odds, for example. Let's just see if anybody's at defense has a shot. Yeah, I'm getting there, Jack. I got to him before. So Nathan Collins, I mean, like nobody has any goal scoring odds, it looks like. Let's see. Well, hold on. Let's get to as far as defenders go. I got to scroll all the way down for defenders. And then we get to, as you were saying, Ian Madsen. All right. So Ian Madsen has very reasonable, goal scoring odds for openers. And he is only 2,600, okay, at defense. So you have him at 2,600, and you also have this guy, I'm just looking at, Nathan Collins, at 2,800. And at the very least, these guys would both be included in the player pool, okay? Let's go back to the player stats per 90 again, the 4 points. We'll re-rate those for here, and then we'll look at defensemen again. So Chilwell is out. Reece James is not playing. And there we go again. Ian Madsen, top defender on the board where it comes to floor points. 9 points for a defender at 2,600. Now, we're not talking about ownership here because I'm sure he's going to get jammed. Because if I can find this, anybody can find this. But I think he looks pretty strong. Other guys that we didn't talk about would be, again, from the favorite, Mudryk, 6,900. And then you see, wow, you see Keane Lewis Potter again showing up as having floor points as well as having having goal scoring odds. So this is what I would like to do next. We do have some time, but we're waiting for some Manchester City guys. So we could pick our favorite optimizer. It really doesn't matter. Like, so I can use the True DFS one. I can use the just to kind of just build something. I'm going to use RotoGrinders. Be totally neutral. Always use SaberSim. We have a RotoWire guy here. We were looking at RotoWire here. I'm just going to use the RotoGrinders one just for the hell of it. Okay. So what I like to do when I use RotoGrinders, at least, is first thing I want to do is I want to exclude everybody. So let's bulk action, and we're going to exclude everybody. Right? Then we're going to go into the excluded, and we're going to figure out who we want to add. So we mentioned for Wolverhampton that we wanted to add Pablo Sarabia, right? He was the only guy that we kind of looked at, right? The other thing I also want to add is the goalie. I want to put all goalies in play for now. For Brentford, we talked about Keane Lewis Potter, Wissa. Those were the only guys I thought of, but what I do want to add are all the defensemen, okay? But because if you win, it's likely, not likely, but these guys are more likely to get clean sheets than non-favorites, I guess. We're going to include all the defensemen in the player pool for now, and we're going to keep the goalies in. So Wissa, Potter, and all these goalies. I'm not going to add in anybody from Crystal Palace yet, although I love playing some of these guys. But I'm just going to add in the goalie for now. That would be Henderson. And where was that Matthias guy? We'll get back to him, I guess, in a minute. Let me just see something. Was it Matthias? It's a struggle. It's a struggle. Where did he go? Where did my defenseman go? Oh, Madsen on Chelsea. Beautiful. Okay, so let's get him in there. So there was Gusto, defenseman. Nicholas Jackson, we liked him. Where was Madsen? Madsen, now he says 1 minute. That's only because we didn't update the projections yet. We're going to X out Nkunku for now. So let's include all these guys. Include selected. So right now we have some guys. Okay. Now let's go back and see if they have done the whatchamacallit yet. The lineups for MCI yet? No. But like right now, if I were going to build like a lineup here, I mean, this looks like something we can do. You know, let's go back to the cheat sheet again, and we'll do that other thing where we sorted by the floor points for the defensemen. Player stats per 90, floor points, defenseman. It was Madsen, and who was the other one? Bueno isn't playing. Alt-Nori. So, boy, it looks like a pretty grim defenseman slate. So you may as well take one from one of the bigger favorites. So maybe Gusto. So one thing that we have right now is we just have Alvarez. We could probably play Foden if we want to, right? Not to say we have to, but we could play Alvarez and Foden, I think, pretty easily in lineups like this. As far as goalies go, I know you can play whoever you want, but I mean, why not play the favorite? You know, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, you could get those goalies that face a lot of shots, but it doesn't seem like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to be one of those slates. Nobody's got a huge total where they're going to play a whole, you know, punch a whole bunch of shots at them. I don't know. I just assume play the goalie of a team that rates to win. So what I could think about is this. If Madsen was such a good play at defense, then may as well play his goalie or something like that. So before I get like these MCI lineups in, you know, this is kind of where I'm going to start. Okay. So now we're just literally waiting. But what we can do is we can we could do pre-research here again on these MCI guys. So once again, anytime goal scorer odds. Alvarez, I presume he's playing, and he's going to be a smash play. Phil Foden, it looks as though I can get him in pretty easily, so maybe it's a good idea to try to do that. Other MCI guys don't really rate to score. You get down to Grealish, he would be next. And as I remember, he was also pretty high up on the list in the floor points per 90. Let me just see. Yep. He's actually second of the eligible players. So, again, all we've talked about is really the guys on the favorites. But I think this is probably a good place to start, right? So when these lineups come out, I'm expecting to see Grealish, Foden, and Alvarez be my favorite plays from MCI. And if they're not in, then we have to adjust, right? Like if for some reason Alvarez is out, then Foden's probably just like stone lock, right? And then you could play probably more of Doku or something like that. So that's pretty much the player pool. Now, again, if you want to look at the underdogs, Olise looks like the best guy from Crystal Palace, and I played him before. You know, he's got the highest floor points as well. So in games where Crystal Palace wins, I mean, you have to think that he's probably going to smash. And it's not like they never win, right? What are the goal scoring odds again? Let's see. I mean, not the goal scoring odds, the game odds. I mean, they win 20% of the time. Yikes. It's not a lot, right? So 42% of the time, whatever. So Olise is my dude. You know, like when Crystal Palace was better, I used to play him all the time. And I think, you know what you could do? I mean, again, this is just my just GPP stuff is that you play Elise instead of Nkuku at the same price, maybe. And I think that probably makes a lot of sense. Jack likes Elise, but what I think I want to do is I think I want to be kind of pure as far as my defenseman goes. Like I didn't really see any defenseman, with the exception of that value, for example, that really stood out. So I'm going to probably just play defenseman with my goalies, and basically play defenseman on the favorites, I think. So let me remind myself, by the way, of who that other defenseman was that was cheap alongside of Matthias. That would be, let's see, floor points, rated by floor points. It would be, no, it wasn't. I guess that was it. Gusto wasn't as cheap, but Gusto looked good. So yeah, there wasn't a real big value aside from Matthias, and he's not Matthias. Yeah, but he's obviously gonna be really popular. But yeah, so I guess that's what I have. Let's see what we have as far as MCI goes. So again, we have, I think, my player pool ready to go, with the exception of MCI. Let's get greedy. Let's start by filling guys in that we think we're going to play. So Foden, Alvarez, Grealish, and I don't know, Ederson. Is he going to be the goalie? Probably. So let's include selected. And now we're just waiting on MCI. I guess like everybody else, right? No one's putting anything in until the MCI stuff happens. And again, don't worry about these projections or anything like that. We're just gonna force guys in with we're just gonna force guys in. We're gonna do projections, and then we're going to just basically force our top guys in. That's what I think we're gonna do. So these look like our, I guess we want to put Elise in the player pool. Include selected. Anybody else that we really forgot? I mean, yeah, there are other guys you can play, obviously. And I saw a lot of people, just calling out guys to play. Include selected. And then we can reset the projections. That's fine. So right now we happen to be using the RotoGrinders projections, but again, I could use my own. I could use the TrueDFS ones, whatever. I'm presuming the projections, whatever they aren't going to matter too much. But just for fun, I mean, I want to build, say, 30 lineups with what I have, and see what we would come up with. So right now we would get Foden, Gusto, Alvarez, Potter, and this is like really reducing my player pool to like the bare minimum. As a matter of fact, is this the guy I want? We want Ian Madsen, right? Not Matthias Zanka, right? We have the wrong guy. All right, so let's go back. Let's see. Player pool. Defenseman. All. No, we wanted. Yeah, I don't know. Nobody has any. That's the problem. Nobody has any good ownerships. So you have to live with it on your own. Yeah, so like RotoGrind, they don't even update until these guys. So again, I'm ignoring all these projections. I'm just gonna put in my players, give myself, certain exposures, and just freaking roll. F the projections, and build lineups that way. I think. Let's build again here. So like, for example, like I'm getting only 57% match. I guess it's okay. Foden, Gusto, whatever. And again, we're still just waiting on. We're still just waiting on MCI. So this is actually pretty hairy, right? So it's a 15-minute window, really, for everybody to play. That's interesting, you know, because it's almost better if it was like an island game, like an hour after. Then people could get their lineups in or whatever. But now because you have that literally that 15-minute window, it becomes a little hairy. But just what I'm going to do, I'm going to now. So by the way, so that was, just so you guys know, that was my first attempt at actual research using the tools. And that's, you know, again, that research is done in 15 minutes. If you spend a little more time on it, you could definitely do a lot better, obviously. But so far, this is the best source. So far, this is the best source for doing stuff like this. And then again, obviously, normally I would go probably into Discord and try to mooch information off everybody else, because that's, you know, that's, first of all, that's the key to all of life. And the second thing is that's one of the things you pay for. You know, when you are a subscriber to RotoWire, I mean, you get access to the premium Discord over there, and so it's kind of silly to not make use of that. Okay. I'm just updating something. Sorry about that. And when these lineups come out, that's when the clock starts, right? So we'll have some fun with it. And if you guys want to see, I mean, I'll show you. I'll show you what my projections would look like for the before the 215s, just for the hell of it. I'm telling you, I'm gonna resist the temptation. I'm just not gonna use them. But just to show you, when I got my NBA stuff up. All right, hold on. I'm just psyched that LOL is back too. Now, are they going to give me an easy slate and leave these guys in or not? We're going to find out very shortly. If it's not there already, I turn off the chat for a second. And turn it off. I'm just watching. I'm watching it for a second. So if I were rating these guys, right, like right now, and hold on, let's pull this up. Oh, so what do we have here? Alvarez, Foden, Grealish, and Nunez are playing. Okay, excellent. So by the way, this is what this is what everything would look like, and this is probably where it's going to stay, right? So these would be my projections. You know, this I did it, and it would be Madsen be the top player, then Alvarez, Foden, which actually makes me feel pretty good, right? Check this out. So I did my research on my own, and yet still, these guys that I kind of came up with just using the RotoWire research actually project very, very well also. So I like that. So we do have Alvarez, we do have Foden, we do have Grealish. That's excellent. Really good. So this is what we're going to do. So here's how we put all of this together. First of all, I do want to put this up on my site. And it's stupid. Like I have like literally no ownership projections. And as I mentioned to you, Jack, when we went over this before, I interviewed you earlier, as far as soccer goes, it's coming. All the advancements that have made it to the other sports, it's coming sooner than later. You're going to have all the sims and all the stuff and the advanced ownership projections. It's all coming. It's coming to soccer. It's coming to tennis. It came to MMA. So, yeah. Okay, so now what we'll do, just for fun, now we know who we want to play. We know who we want to overweight. And we want to use the projections a little bit. So we'll use SaberSim this time. Okay, so let's go into soccer, EPL, upload. And again, there's nothing that SaberSim is doing now that any of the optimizers cannot do. Because normally SaberSim can give you like some extra juice, like using SaberScore and all this stuff. I don't know how I have ownership here, but this is like totally nonsense. Okay, like do I even need 1% or something like that? That's just not happening. So before I do anything, I just can't resist. I want to put my top guys in just more than anybody else. So the guys I came up with on my own, like Sarabia, he'll be 40%. I say on my own. I'm sure everybody came up with it. Then where was the Keane Lewis Potter? That made sense. The Wissa, that makes sense. I don't have to worry about getting to the that cheapo because I'm going to get to him anyway. The Madsen. Aside from this, all this seems to make sense. And I'll have to figure out whether I want to X out that other dude. So let's we'll build 40 lineups. Actually, we'll build 50. And again, normally in SaberSim, you click Sim, and it'll build like kind of cool like upside lineups. But because it's not built for it yet, all I'm doing is optimizing. That's literally all I'm doing. And optimizing just means getting the median projection of everybody. But we're gonna screw around. And what we'd be getting right now is it's 219. Okay, so we'd be getting 100%. Of a couple of guys. Alvarez, Madsen, and a good amount of Foden. Then Grealish, Ederson, Potter, Arabia, Wissa. All right, that looks good. I'm getting a good amount of Elise. I'm getting 0, it looks like, of that other expensive guy. We want to play Jackson too, right? Oh, and Nkunku. Hold on. Yeah, I'm getting 0 of Nkunku, which is good enough for me. I'm not getting as much Jackson? Let's see. Yeah, let's make sure we get a little bit of Jackson. Just because we played him, right? All right, so we'll keep editing. We'll rebuild. So basically, if the stud Nkunku smashes, Eric loses. You see what my exposures are. Alvarez, Madsen, Foden, Grealish, Ederson, Sarabia, Potter, Wissa, Jackson. I'm getting all my guys in. I'm getting some Olise in and none of the Nkunku. The only question is, do I want to, reduce my exposure and not have 100%? Yeah, let's do that. Let's give ourselves only 80% of these guys, of anybody. All right, I think it's reasonable. This is going to be the last thing that we change. The other thing I could have done, by the way, I could have made min uniques instead of 1, I could have made it. I got 9 minutes, plenty of time. I could do 500 lineups for the NBA, having gotten news like 4 minutes before lock. Believe me, this is nothing. So let's do min uniques 2. You can only get 30 lineups, okay? Let's rebuild. Unfortunately, I normally would have to do a little better with customizing the lineups to fit the tournaments that I'm in, but kind of ran out of time as far as that goes. So what we're going to do at least is we're going to save these to the CSV, and then we're going to go. Actually, before we do anything else, we're going to just make sure that we at least save these. Save these like this, upload. And then I guess the next thing I would do, and the last thing I'll do for this, is I will attempt to customize the lineups for the actual contest. And I'm just going to do it by ranking, I guess. And this is actually pretty poor. This is actually pretty poor lineup construction, because normally I would try to find the ones with the highest variance for, the highest variance, the Browns. What are the Browns? Oh. But because I don't have time, I'm not going to be able to do that. All right. So top lineup, we'll just put here. And we'll just kind of just do it in order. And then I really want, actually the rest, it really doesn't matter because they're all big, huge GPPs. We'll just blast. We'll just do this. We get a couple of dupes. What we'll do is we'll put these into here. That makes sense. And we will upload. Okay, so that, guys, is the best I can do right now with respect to combining the use of the cheat sheets, not relying on projections too much, and hopefully giving you a tour of what you can do with these tools at your disposal. Now, if you want, I guess you could still play Change MCI guys after the slate locks, and you probably should, right? Boy, oh boy, you can still play, right? So that's the next thing I probably should do, but no one's going to be around for that. Is that if things aren't going your way, and you have like Foden and Alvarez in the same lineup, for example, and Grealish, and you're like behind like early in the first half an hour, you probably should swap, right? I mean, you could see what these guys that are near the top of the lineup are going to have, and if you're behind, like if you didn't play like Olise and Olise scores or something like that, I would probably get off of this MCI stuff, or at least swap from Foden Alvarez to like who he was saying, Silva or whatever, I don't know, or somebody, or maybe go to McNeil. That's going to be completely, much less owned, obviously. So that's the last bit of hype. So listen, as I mentioned this, part of the reason I'm doing this is because I wish and this goes back to my interview on when I did on Lulz, whatever. I wish more sites would do this. I do. I wish more sites with people better than I am would actually go through slates and go through how to actually construct lineups and how to use the tools at their disposal to actually create lineups using the tools on the fly. So hopefully people better than me, and there are plenty of them on all the sites, will start doing this, or at least from time to time, because me as a user, I would love to benefit from watching Ryan, or, Ryan from RotoWire, or Charlie from FSI, or any of the experts. I would love to see them go through a similar type of process as I would. And don't listen, guys. Don't worry about people stealing your lineups. No one's is going on here. And listen, I've done this for basketball and other sports where I actually am really good. And nobody like goes on there and like steals your lineups. No one wants to do that anyway. You just want to hopefully teach people a process that works. And as I get better at this, hopefully I'll continue to do this and be more value added as far as soccer goes. But for now, I'm just kind of a beginner with this, and I'm continuing to learn. But by the way, I just want to show you, I want to flex a little bit. I mean, not that really it means too much, but listen, I know that these are all skewed, but if I'm not mistaken, Sheets is 26th in the soccer leaderboard on Roto Grinders, not being able to know how to pronounce Nkuku. So that's got to be worth something. All right, that'll do it. Good luck, everybody. Thanks for showing up, Jack. Really appreciate that. And good luck, everybody.